is Joy News Prime.
Hello and welcome. My name is Israelai and this is Joy News Prime here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up, Human Rights Court dismisses case brought against the New Patriotic Party by its suspended second national vice chairman, seeking to overturn his suspension. Mr. Crabbe has vowed to continue to fight his suspension all the way. Parliamentary approval for the budget of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation deferred again. This time, however, because there were not enough MPs in the House. Minority casts doubts over viability of revamped Commander Sugar Factory, arguing the siting of the facility alone was not properly thought through.
And in business, SMEs who have failed to pay back loans acquired from Venture Capital Trust Fund will soon be prosecuted as management takes steps to retrieve outstanding loans.
Now, Emmanuel will be here in about 30 minutes with the business news, but there will also be sport, entertainment, and Joy News Interactive. Joy News Prime is also available across Europe on London-based ABN television station. Now, the Accra Human Rights Court on Thursday dismissed the suit brought by the suspended second national vice chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Mr. Sami Crabbe, against the party for sanctioning him last year. Mr. Crabbe had gone to court to challenge the suspension by the National Executive Committee after he failed to appear before a disciplinary committee of the party to answer misconduct charges leveled against him by 2 members. The court said the suit was without merit. According to Justice Sir Dennis Ejay, the National Disciplinary Committee of the party has jurisdiction to hear and punish anyone found to have breached some rules of the party. Lawyer for the defendants Godfrey Dame told Joy News after the ruling, the court made it clear that the party did nothing wrong in punishing the second vice chairman.
The same, we cannot reinvent the facts. The rules have also been enacted. The rules can also not be reinvented. You cannot introduce any words into the constitution. So I do not expect any outcome, regardless of whatever appeal he embarks on. And that's his right, he may do so. But I would even implore him that as a law-abiding member of the party, I'm surprised. I mean, if this cannot be attributed by any other illicit motives, I don't know what it is. If you test the soundness of this disciplinary committee's ruling, and you yourself did not subject yourself to the disciplinary committee's proceedings, and you have been told in court today that you're even wrong in coming to court without attending the disciplinary committee's proceedings. I don't know what reason will motivate such a person to embark on further appeals other than just to wreak unnecessary controversy in the party.
The head of the NPP's legal committee, Professor Michael Quay, who was in court, advised the suspended executives to show remorse and ask for forgiveness.
Now the court has held, those who didn't know, today they know that nobody can do what he likes in the party just because you are chairman or vice chairman or whatever position. You are subject to discipline like any other person. And that provision regarding discipline can affect you also. Because, you see, even in Ghana today, the president, duly elected by millions of people, can be impeached by the two-thirds majority of only members of parliament. There were 270 people, not so. So if somebody says, I was elected at some conference, take me there before you can rule me, when there is clear, handwritten, well-written provision as to how you can be disciplined, I would therefore advise that in future, everybody must know that anybody can be disciplined. That discipline may include suspension. And you know, even when we were in school, when you are suspended, whether in the ministries, in a public company or whatever, your conduct after may show that, oh, well, no, he's regretted. He's changed his ways. Let us reinstate him. Is that not so? People must learn in this way. So, Prof, I attended a Catholic school when I was a boy. And they used to say that you must regret before you are forgiven. Mea culpa, mea culpa. Every Catholic knows mea culpa. My fault, my fault. And then when you pronounce on your own fault and acceptance of your having done wrong, of course, it has happened before. A national chairman, Mr. Sekou, today is in very, very good standing in the party. He has been suspended before. But if you want to adopt a different attitude, of course, the party too will know what to do, but the party will move on.
So once he regrets his action and he wants to come back to the fold of
the party will move on. We all know what happens when a person behaves properly, expresses regret. Even people will speak for you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
But Mr. Crab is doing no such thing. He told Joy FM's Top Story he intends to pursue his case till the very end.
I disagree with the judge, and it's normal, that's life. He has a job to do, he has done his job. I have a right to disagree, and if I do, I have a right of appeal, and I'll move all the way to the top. By the way, I wanted to correct something that I thought I heard you say earlier about me saying I'm going to fight to be reinstated. No, absolutely not. If you've been following this whole thing, it is not about me being reinstated. As I've always said, this had nothing to do with me. They were going after the chairman and the general secretary. I came in to point to a wrong. If it had to do with the position, there's no way I would have even come in and stood there. What I'm on is bigger than a position.
But fact is, Mr. Crab, you've been suspended. You are in court seeking that the court overturns that decision by the National Executive Committee of your party.
That is not true. If you have read, I never said it should overturn. I never even mentioned, if you read the affidavit, what I said was, there were things that I went and I said that they lacked jurisdiction. If you read my affidavit very well, I said those people sitting down there saying that they are suspending me, they even lack jurisdiction. Two, if somebody has a problem with an elected officer in my party, there is a clause in our constitution, which is Article 4(3)(d), that states that you must, if it is a national elected officer or member of the National Committee, you must take it to the National Council, not to them. So I never ever said that they should reinstate me.
Very well, Mr. Crab, you've indicated that you'll be appealing the ruling by the Human Rights Court today. How soon will that be?
Well, I'm looking at next week, early next week. We've had meetings, so we're studying it. We're waiting for the transcript. We shall then appeal, because I believe that Article 4(3)(g), we state that if you have anything against an elected national officer, you have to take it to the National Council. I don't believe that you ruled on that. So that is where we are now.
The minority in Parliament has cast doubt over the viability of the revamped Commander Sugar Factory, which was reopened only this week by President Mahama. The factory, established in the 1960s, collapsed as a result of a number of challenges, including lack of raw materials. President Mahama says the factory is expected to generate thousands of jobs and help cut down Ghana's importation of sugar. Addressing a news conference in Parliament Thursday morning, the minority spokesperson on Trade and Industry, Professor George Anbafo, says the siting of the facility close to the sea and polluted rivers, expected to serve as irrigation, will not augur well for the factory.
The siting of the factory is still not too far from the sea, and this could lead to expensive maintenance costs on the iron and steel components of the plant due to the salty sea breeze. This happened to the old plant, and maintenance exacted a huge toll on the profitability of the factory. In those times, the plant had to be shut down every year to allow for the extraction of corroded matter from steel pipes. The factory ought to have been located a bit farther from the coastline. Second, the diversion of farmlands from the production of multi-crop to monocrop sugarcane presents a possibility of food insecurity in the area, especially given the fact that the new factory is 25% bigger than the old. President Mahama, at the commissioning of the revamped factory, said government is in the process of developing a new national sugar policy. And that is typical of the John Mahama-led government. The case of always placing the cart before the horse. It happened in the hasty crafting of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, where, as of yet, a petroleum exploration and production law, which the Revenue Management Act ought to have mounted on, has not been put in place. So here you are, you are building the factory before you come out with a national sugar policy.
Now, Minority Leader Osechi Mensah-Bonsu also cited the impending closure of the factory shortly after its opening to support the minority's position that not much planning and research went into the initiative.
Commissioning of the Commander refurbished Commander Sugar Estate. There are still some very critical, very outstanding issues which some of us believe may impede the smooth running of the commissioned facility, which, if we are not careful, if we don't think through and find immediate remedies, could stall production at Commander Sugar Factory. And in that regard, it may turn out to be a white elephant. We want to share with you our concerns, which we believe would hamper the smooth operation of the company and possibly reduce it to a mere propaganda gimmick.
Now, the Central Region Minister Kweku Reketagan has, however, justified the planned shutdown, describing the minority's position as uninformed. In an interview with Joy News, he explained the Commander Sugar Factory will be closed down after 6 months of production, rather. He said it is to allow for maintenance of the plant. Pupils of the Abokobi Presby Basic School, not too far from the capital Accra, study in buildings infested with bats. That's not all. The school's structure are a chain of 70 years plus old brick houses, with parts of it almost at the point of falling off. The irony, however, is that the Presby Church and the Education Directorate supervise the school from their modern, quite comfortable offices not too far away. The pupils complain they are concerned about their safety and wish something will be done about it. They're also worried following a mob attack on one of the teachers on the school compound. Beatrice Edu has the rest of the story.
We are feeling very bad because this kind of structure that we are staying inside, sometimes we don't feel comfortable when we are learning. So especially the bus in the afternoon, the teachers cannot come inside and teach us because it smells. The bad smells, the scent comes and it disturbs some of the teachers. They can't teach, even us. We feel bad when we are in the class. Sometimes it makes noise and we can't learn. And it even disturbs our teachers to come inside. And we feel bad because as a school and it's near a municipal assembly and this kind of structure is there, it's very bad. And when you go to the municipal assembly, the structure there is very nice. And but when you come to our school, it's very bad. We feel bad.
It's a school built about 70 years ago and has seen little or no renovations at all. There's no security in this school, and this is where one of the teachers here was assaulted last week after he allegedly told some drivers in the community that they were driving recklessly. Parts of the plasterings have peeled off and the windows are very old. Some of the wooden parts of the windows have broken off. The compound of the school is very dusty, and when it rains, learning becomes a challenge, the pupils tell me. Teachers are equally worried about the state of affairs in the school. Regina Koko is a teacher here.
We are still not secure. And the assurance they're giving us is that they are working on it and help is coming. But honestly, the structures is not congenial for teaching and learning. We are still not feeling safe. As you can see, some of my colleagues are not here.
Ironically, the Presby Church, whose missionaries built this school, now a dilapidated brick house, years ago, is right in front of the school, completely covered with beautiful modern tiles. And it's got fresh pavements. The Ga East Municipal Education Directorate, which is about 500 meters from this structure, is also in a plush green story building with air-conditioned offices. When Joy News approached the municipal director, Florence A.C. Damali, first about the mob attack on the teacher, she said, quote, "Everything has been solved. We don't have a problem. The school has been reopened," end quote. She further declined any comment on the state of the school. Teachers are tired of empty assurances by authorities and want action now. Regina Kwoko again.
It's a pity that people who impart knowledge and people who take in knowledge are put under set conditions to study. It doesn't make it congenial at all. All the assurance we get is verbal, that is in the pipeline, help is coming.
Watching Joy News Prime, still to come in the bulletin. Alfred Agbesi II has denied representatives of the Attorney General's Department and Lands Commission access to his Pehe residence. We'll tell you why. Stay tuned, we're back in a bit. After his caution to the Attorney General to stay away from attempting to attach his properties to settle an amount due the state from him, embattled businessman Alfred Agbesi II on Thursday denied representatives of the Attorney General's Department and Lands Commission access to his Pehe residence at Kukumlimle here in Accra. He contends strongly that it is an illegality as there is a process in court by the UT Bank through their lawyers involving the said property.
Businessman Alfred Woyome was physically present to deny the Attorney General's Department access to move in and evaluate his residential property. Mr. Woyome intimated that the Pehe property constitutes part of the portfolio of assets for which the UT Bank has filed a notice of claim. In this regard, the AG's attempt to deny the knowledge and existence of such claim is inexcusable.
And we are telling them that they should remember and watch at their back.
So I caught up with Mr. Woyome after he was done with the officials assigned by the AG's office with police escort from his premises.
You saw me actually telling them that it was an illegality because there's a process in court which I showed them, which the AGs are aware about since March. My lawyer wrote to them today because the AG wrote and said that there was no process, and they attached that process, which they know about. So I'm wondering why they want this media drama. What is it? And I'm not going to stand here again for such things. It will not happen again. So I'm serving notice. You should understand that enough of it. 5 years is enough. Provocation, I will not be provoked because I know this media thing. I will not be provoked into doing anything. I still maintain that what I did by going to court was right. You understand? That's why I have not, we've got all the provocation for 5 years. I have not dealt with the media the way anybody would have done. I have also respected the Ghanaian institutions altogether because I believe in the Constitution. And I also know that the Supreme Court made an error. They made an error because they shouldn't have truncated processes in the lower court. They don't have the right to do that. If they have allowed the lower court to work, they would have made this big mistake. And I believe that one day the Supreme Court will depart from this decision. And for me, I don't accept it. Although it's binding, I don't accept it. We are using every means possible, externally and within the African region, to seek a right. And this right will be achieved.
Mr. Woyome contends that the Supreme Court erred in its ruling and will take the case up with an international court.
So I'm not linked to that contract. The Supreme Court erred. How can you say that the sun shone from the east and suddenly illuminated, what do you call it, and suddenly illuminated the contract and immediately Alfred Woyome is linked to? I mean, this is too much below the belt if it came from the Supreme Court. You understand me? But I respect these people. As with their motive or whatever it is, I think for the benefit of the doubt, more things have been done, and I advise that members of that panel and the Supreme Court should go back to the Supreme Court and look into this matter and search within their own conscience whether they have treated the Ghanaian well.
Some youths gathered at Mr. Woyome's residence maintained if the NDC does not help him out, they will not vote for the party in the November elections.
Right, time for business. And Emmanuel Abaji is here. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, what's coming up?
Well, coming up, there are very interesting developments. But in our top story, you know, the Venture Capital Trust Fund has been helping fund SMEs. But it's unfortunate that till now, it is indebted SMEs are indebted to the
Well, a lot of
fund.
them haven't paid back.
They haven't paid back to the tune of over 28 million Ghana cedis.
That's a lot of
now
money.
management is going all out to retrieve those funds. It's interesting, especially when we are always crying for SME financing here and there, and they get the monies, they don't.
But a lot of the problem, what seems to come up is the fact that they don't do due diligence before giving out these monies to the people. And a lot of the time they also say political cronies and
but aside
also
due diligence, if even they don't do due diligence, and the fact that it's an SME, recognized SME going into business expansion, if you get your money, why don't you?
So you're talking about recognized SME, but
yes.
If I come to you and I know very well that I'm never going to pay you, I'll still take the money and I won't pay you.
So due diligence is very necessary.
Due diligence.
It is.
Due diligence.
Yes.
You take it away.
Thank you very much. Now, Venture Capital Trust Fund is to prosecute enterprises which have defaulted in their loan repayments. Management of the Venture Capital Trust Fund are saying they may be forced to prosecute businesses which have defaulted on loan repayments. About 96% of small and medium-scale enterprises which secured loans from the Capital Trust Fund in the last 4 years have failed to pay back. The enterprises owe the trust fund to the tune of about 28 million Ghana cedis. Chief Executive Officer of the fund, Osman Suleimana, tells Joy Business they are going all out to retrieve the monies.
Venture capital was set up by an act of parliament, which we all know in 2006, to provide low-cost financing for SMEs. By using vehicles, a special purpose vehicle, by establishing finance companies, venture capital finance companies, to leverage foreign capital or even internally. That was what we do. To invest in equity, and sometimes we did that. Now there was a policy direction sometimes where the board sat and they felt there was the need to support SMEs in a form of debt. We did that debt. I think over the last 4 years back, that the debt portion of what was done to SMEs, those monies are not coming back. They are not performing. Basically, I meant to say that about 90% of those that have taken those monies haven't been able to honor the obligation by paying back. And once it is an endowment fund, it becomes very difficult for others to be able to assess. You understand? What you take, you've taken all, and some you will have to pay back so the other people will be able to assess. So that has also coupled with the funding challenges that we have, because if we were able to, within 3 years of the establishment of venture capital, that you have an endowment fund, then you no longer, that part of the law was repealed in 2006. The secretary was set up in 2006, and the law, the National Reconstruction Levy, which were entitled to 25%. We have had this endowment, and to cover operational costs in our investment, we did so much investment in equity, and equity is performing, and we need more capital to inject into it. And we did that, and the debt portion of it is not happening, it's not performing. People are not ready to pay because it is government funded. I want to use the medium to ask them, to appeal to them to pay so that other people will be able to access. It's not for free. And that is the difficulty. If you were to assess funding loans or debt from financial institutions like the bank, the interest rate is beyond 20%, and you are getting something lower than that because it's a government agency. You have no moral justification not to pay back. You'll have to pay that money back. It's not for free. You have to pay so that other people will be able to access.
The Ghana National Petroleum Corporation on Thursday had the approval of its budget by Parliament deferred again because there were not enough members in the House. The budget approval has already suffered a number of setbacks or objections raised by the minority. The Petroleum Minister was, however, in the House to justify why the GNPC deserved what it was asking for.
Minority is resolute in its demand for the House to reject the motion, citing lack of details in the document and explain expenditure. The Petroleum Minister Emmanuel Amakofibua justified the huge investment GMPC planned to undertake in the construction of a new head office.
Mr. Speaker, it is in this context that GMPC, within its mandate, as I have explained, came in to guarantee that patch. And Mr. Speaker, it is clear we have to speak in a way that makes sure people understand. We were doing this at a time when, quite frankly, we were in power crisis, jobs, industries were collapsing, and people were losing their jobs. They are not interested in that. So, Mr. Speaker, if you want to know where the 100 million was, it is lying in the bank, and so far, ECG has been paying Car Power for the electricity being produced, and that money, a dime of it has not been touched. It is a guarantee. And what we have collectively done in this parliament, with the levies, hopefully, and the reforms we are undertaking with ECG, is that we are going to get to the day where ECG will not default. So GMPC's investment, quite frankly, will be secured. That's what the 100 million has done.
But that was not enough to convince the Speaker to put up the question, because the House was not up to the number required for the passage of such motion.
I was here about 9 o'clock in my office trying to find out whether the leaders were there. And nobody has given me any explanation why they were not there. At least I saw the deputy majority leader and then the majority chief whip, the minister was there, the chairman was there. So we were waiting, and it was 10 o'clock to enter the chamber. It was upon that I said they should find out the whereabouts of the honorable minority leader of this house. It was then that I was informed that you were in a meeting, and that in 15 minutes' time you will be this thing. And we all agree as a house that we should start business at 10 o'clock. And I believe that if there were any difficulty by 9:30, information used through the usual channels of communication would have come to my attention that, look, there's some other business somewhere will be late, then we will know what to do. I didn't get any information. I've come here, and you know, it becomes difficult when we get here, and we will have to have challenges on the floor. Honorable Minority Leader, at least if you were busy, you could have sent your ranking member or one of your deputies or somebody to represent you, but there was nobody at all from the minority side.
Still in Parliament, the minority's ranking member on Finance Committee, Dr. Anthony Yakotose, for the first time refused to second a motion requiring the House to approve tax waiver amounting to $982 million for the Tama Port expansion project. The project also involves development of a container terminal and port access road. The project is a concession agreement between Ghana Port and Harbours Authority and Meridian Port Services Limited. Chairman of the Finance Committee, James Kluche Aveji, gives details.
Mr. Speaker, I want to amend the figure in the motion to read as $832 million. $832 million. 832 million. 832. 832. Are you amending the conclusion of the motion? The motion is recommending a figure of 8. Are you amending the motion or the report? The motion. The motion. Very well, very well. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopt the report of the Finance Committee on the request for tax concessions in respect of value-added tax, national health insurance levy, customs duties, corporate and withholding taxes, and other applicable taxes amounting to $832 million in respect of the Tama Port expansion project, development and container terminal, and port access road by the Meridian Port Services. Mr. Speaker, in so doing, I present your committee's report, and I also want to amend the report, the title of the report, to read as 832 million, as captured in the motion.
As is custom with Parliament, the ranking member on the committee was expected to second the motion for debate to ensue, but Dr. Anthony Akotose refused.
Now, Ghana will Friday mark a year after the June 3 flood and fire disaster, which claimed over 150 lives and left in its wake massive destruction to property. Ahead of the event, Parliament's Transport Committee went on a working visit to the Circle Interchange construction site and other drainage projects in the vicinity of the disaster zone. The visit comes just a day after the National Coordinator of the National Disaster Management Organization stated that Accra is still very vulnerable to floods. Chairman of the committee, Pupils Tetechai, agrees. He tells Joy News much more needs to be done, especially on the drainage system.
The area is not spacious, okay? And these are earth-moving equipment. It is, in fact, they have a huge challenge. And you know, silting of that Odo River itself is a daily thing. So you dredge, and then within a short time, it's silted. And then when you look at the sea itself, I've always said that, look, the only way we can end this flooding along that corridor is to dredge the Lavington Hill side of the sea, because it is very low. And the flow of water, the Odo River entering the sea, is almost at the same level. So water flow, you see, the slope that the water needs to flow into the sea is curtailed. So if you watch the Odo River critically, you realize that the water is just circulating. It doesn't flow because the gradient and that of the sea are almost the same. So I believe that what can really solve that problem, so that, because you see, when the moment the height of the water goes up, it impedes the flow of water from the size of the drain, the Odo drain. So all those on this side, their water will not be able to enter, and therefore it flows backwards. Per what I see, I don't think that will be the entire solution to the problem, because I've already indicated that it is an issue of gradient, slope, giving the water flow some form of movement. And per what is being done now, even if they are to dredge to a certain depth, the water will not even flow. You see, so that is the major challenge. And for me, the only solution is the dredging of the Lavington Hill end of the, that's the sea, around that area, so that it creates a deeper depth. Then the water can then flow into the sea.
His colleague, Chairman of the Works and Housing Committee of Parliament, David Tete Suming, wants city authorities to act on recommendations made.
Well, some level of work, as I'm aware, has been done, but that's not to say that we've done, optimal, because disaster issues are issues that are keep on, reoccurring at every moment, and so we need to continue to, visit our gutters, expand them on daily basis. And this is the reason why I'm saying that city authorities must be up and doing to make sure that our drains are always desilted, and persons are also educated, to change attitude, in terms of this, dumping of waste in our gutters. I mean, all of us should come together to avoid some of these things that will, choke our gutters, that will continue to create problems for us. Tomorrow is the anniversary, as we all said, of the twin disaster, as we normally call it, and we wish the families, our condolences.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Yesterday I was talking about her bling bling, and today she decided to do something different. These earrings are huge.
Are they?
Yeah.
But they look good on me, don't they? Okay, so he's talking about me. Okay, so how about telling you Israeli's new nickname? He has two of them, PT and L8.
I don't know what you're talking about. Where's that two coming from?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys. Once in a while, you decide to come up with names for me. Really? Yeah. You can go. You can call me anything.
You don't know L8? You don't?
No.
Okay, Osaibia, when he comes, we'll ask him about L8. I'm sure he'll be able to tell you what L8 is. And Osaibia is Mrs. Lai, of course.
Naughty.
I know you know what it is. Anyway, so Dear God, is a letter that Uncle Ebo White and his crew had decided to write to God.
Yeah.
Yes, Dear God, I had the media preview yesterday, and we bring you excerpts from the venue.
Right, time for sports, and Gary has joined me. Gary, today I heard this story about Martha Bisa take another. I mean, it's been all over the airwaves, and I heard it on Joy FM and on the morning show, and there was this banter and all that. What gladdens me is that at least before the end of that interview, the two parties seem to have come, reach some middle ground, and they're going to resolve whatever problems there are and get
the young girl to progress.
Yeah, to progress. Otherwise, I mean, it's been a very bad story. But the fact that she's somebody who actually is you're saying is our only Olympic gold winner ever.
In Ghana is how many years? Think about that.
Wow.
Yes, so.
For her career to, just
to be stalling like that, yes.
It's terrible.
It's a question of management, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of management, we have the Black Stars in the news. They are managing the team well, and they are going to Mauritius. All they need is a draw, like I've said, to qualify for the AFCON. So we have that bit of news as well as some more build-up to the Euros.
Yeah, all right. We're watching.
Thank you, Israel, and thank you for joining us on the Sport on Prime. Hi, I'm Gary Alsmith. We begin with Avram Grant, who is hinting at handing debutants starting places in Mauritius on Sunday. Don't forget, it's the AFCON qualifier, and Ghana have one foot in Gabon.
As you saw before, even before, you saw Amarty, you saw Bernard Mesa, you saw others. If they will be good, if they prove them, you can see them. But as I said before, we have a good squad. The players prove themselves. So a player that will play need to be better than what we have now. And few of them, I can tell you, they are on the edge. They prove themselves. They're looking good in the trainings. And maybe they will get a chance.
Yep, still on the football, but of another kind. A former Black Star player is a peace ambassador for the country. His name is Stephen Appiah. You might know him Of course you do. And he's been paying a courtesy call on Nilante Vanderpoy, as well as former President John Ejekum Kufuor. Here's a report by Joy Sports Asare Bediako. This is ahead of the Vodafone Unity Match 2016.
Peace Ambassador Stephen Appiah has paid a courtesy call on the former president of the Republic of Ghana, J.A. Kufuor, ahead of this month's Vodafone Unity Match. The former Juventus and Ghana playmaker was accompanied by officials of Primiva Media, organizers of the event. Former President Kufuor revealed he would soon publish an article about the leadership qualities of the former Black Stars skipper.
I've taken pains to work a short statement, which I hope will be published in support of this initiative that Steve has taken. It captures my appreciation of this leadership that Steve is showing. It's leadership not just on the football arena, it's leadership, real leadership for the nation. And for that I want to make a short statement, recorded statement, to be recorded, captured by the media as a whole, and to be put out.
Earlier, Stephen Appiah had paid a visit to the Minister of Youth and Sports, Nilante Vanderpoy, and the former sports journalist was proud of Stephen Appiah's achievement as a footballer.
I am proud, particularly proud, of Stephen as a big brother, as an uncle, and as a father. I remember that day when I held his hand through Zongole in my house to the office of Thomas Okai to get him registered for Accra as a folk. I never knew he was going to grow to become this big, and I feel proud of him. During my days as a commentator, I've never felt good in the commentary box when I see my own son on the field, and not just because he was playing any football, but he was playing better than all those others on the field. He was an exceptional character.
The 2016 Vodafone Unity Match is slated for 8th and 11th June.
All right, and thank you too for watching. You can get to My Joy Online, the new look, My Joy Online, get to read a lot more of the stories there. You have a good night. My name is Joy Online.
This is Joy News Prime.